Hi, everybody. You probably know me from my work at the Good Cheer Garden, where I'm the coordinator there. I'm also the coordinator for the Learning for the Land program at the Whidbey Institute. I'm helping to develop an affordable housing community in Langley. I do a lot of work for the cemetery, and the list goes on and on. I'm really passionate about sustainability. I teach about sustainability, but I live a life at 150%. Is that sustainable? Well, I had some questions answered for me by a rafter. In early May of this year, I smashed my head against a rafter, and it stopped me in my tracks. I had to heal my brain. I had to completely rest. I couldn't have lights at night. I couldn't use the computer. It's interesting how the things that we are most passionate about, that we teach, that we care the most about, are sometimes the things we're not doing. And sometimes we're doing the exact opposite. Witness my sustainable life. I'm committed to my spiritual practice, but do I find time to meditate? I was able to track 1 million details, coordinating all these community gardens, but I failed to notice the big detail in front of my head. I'm working to develop my consciousness and my awareness. But to do all these projects, I had to spend many hours at the computer, cultivating an obsessively multitasking, fragmented, digitally distracted state of mind. The computer is a really interesting analogy. If a computer has too many programs going, what does it do? It slows down. The ball starts whirring. We have to force quit all these programs. We have to turn it off. Let the hard drive spin down and stop. Keelan Rinpoche is a Tibetan Buddhist Lama who spends much of the year here on Whidbey Island. And he had, oh, let me just tell you another analogy about the computer, I forgot. Usually, we get bigger and better computers, right? When we have trouble with the capacity of our computers, we just get bigger and better ones. But is that necessarily the best thing for us? So Keelan Rinpoche, who I just mentioned, he had an interesting observation. He said, maybe instead of upgrading to faster and faster and faster, we could consider upgrading to slow. So, let's go to Tibet. But before that, let me ask a question. What is the pace of a connected life? How do we actually stay true to our core values and not do the opposite and disconnect? What is the pace of a connected life? Rinpoche comes from Zachaka in eastern Tibet. He spent his life rebuilding the monastery and revitalizing the Tibetan nomad culture that so suffered under the Chinese occupation. In Zachaka, there are these amazing Mani walls, and prayer flags everywhere. This Mani wall is almost a mile long, made of hundreds of thousands of stones. They can be large, these Mani walls, they can be small. They're amazing. And each one of these stones is a prayer. Sometimes the prayers are carved in them. And during the Cultural Revolution, the Chinese destroyed these Mani walls. And they threw all the rocks all over the countryside. And the Mani walls were rubble. And the Tibetans, when they could, they rebuilt them, stone by stone. Another Tibetan practice that's had a huge influence on me is prostrations. A full body prostration is when you get down on your knees and you spread out, and you touch your hands, and you come back up. And sometimes you walk. If you're on pilgrimage and you're prostrating, you walk forward. And that's how you go where you're going. When I was in Lhasa, the spiritual center of Tibet, I met a Tibetan family from Eastern Tibet who prostrated 8 months to Lhasa. We're standing in front of the Jokong, where there are always so many Tibetans prostrating. Each prostration is a prayer for the benefit of all beings, that they may be free of suffering and be happy. There's a circumambulation route around the Jokong, which is the most holy temple in Tibet, where all the time Tibetans are walking. You see a prayer wheel in the corner there, spinning prayers of compassion or prostrating. And then outside, in the outskirts of Tibet, of Lhasa, there's an ancient circumambulation path, the Lingkhor, that now the Chinese have developed into a city, its streets, and sidewalks, and intersections. But still, the Tibetans walk that ancient path. And they still circumambulate now through traffic. The Tibetans taught me about devotion. Now, let's go to Western Tibet, remote Western Tibet, to Mount Kailash, 4 days driving from Lhasa, and countless months prostrating. My mom and I went there to scatter some of my brother's ashes. We just walked 5 days around Lake Manasarovar, and now we're beginning the circumambulation around Mount Kailash. We're coming to this amazing prayer flag festival. We're on Sakadawa, the day that is the Buddha's birth, enlightenment day, and death, all rolled into one. The Tibetans raise prayer flags, they refresh all the prayer flags all around the country. They throw colored bits of paper into the air filled with prayers, and they prostrate. They walk around the prayer flag pole, even prostrating, while the Chinese guards are watching. It takes 3 days to walk around the mountain. Most people walk, some people do horseback, and some people do prostrate. It takes over 2 weeks. There are 4 prostration points going around the mountain, and all the Tibetans stop. And they pay homage and make offerings. The highest point of the circumambulation is the Pass of Tara. It's 18,600 feet. And just below the pass is this enormous rock. It's the Rock of Tara. And the Tibetans feel that all the enlightened wisdom of the 21 Taras is in this rock. And the Taras are the enlightened female deities, the female wisdom of compassionate action. in this rock. And as people walk to the pass of Tara, they stop here and they pay homage and they receive blessings. So let's go up to Tara's rock and to the pass.
Om tare tu re soha. 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 Om tare tu re soha.
Maybe I don't need to bang my head against the wall. Maybe I need to touch the earth with my head, my heart, and my hands and move forward. So let's come back to Whidbey now. Let's come back home, where so many of us in the community are so devoted to this place and to each other. Witness this event. Witness the Good Cheer Garden, where hundreds of people help to create that garden, and dozens care for it every week so that we can bring in fresh, healthy, nutritious food to those in the food bank who need it. Maybe the pace of a connected life is devotion in action. So I'd like to end this talk by stopping. By actually having a moment of quiet. Let's be still. Let's rest in the devotion of our heart.